Really focus on relationship and connection more than content, because everybody can create content.
You're listening to Business Lunch with Roland Frasier. This is your seat at the table.
Hey everybody, this is Roland Frasier with Business Lunch here in very chilly Phoenix, Arizona. Surprisingly chilly, 35 degrees this morning. And I have my friend Yifat Cohen with me.
Thanks for having me.
You used to be the Google
G
Plus gal.
gal, yes.
Yeah, and now what is the company?
What do we call ourselves? I'm calling myself an engagement booster.
An engagement booster. I like it. So tell us a little bit about what you do, and then I have some fun questions for you.
Yeah, so maybe I'll call myself the anti-social media marketing person.
Anti-social media.
Anti-social media.
All right.
Because I found that, since the beginning of the internet, we are broadcasting, right? We started with blogs, where it's one too many. Then we moved to emails, one too many. Then we moved to teleseminars, if you remember.
Mm-hmm. I do.
And now webinars, one too many, buy my stuff. And then video, YouTube, one too many. And then live video. So we're always broadcasting, but there's no connection happening between people. Mm-hmm. And it's very funny when people start doing social media, they look at content. Like, okay, let me have content calendars and let me create all this stuff. But if you don't have an audience, and if you have a small audience, then who's watching?
Right.
And so I'm going to go in reverse. Okay, let's engage with people, right? Information is not the problem, right? You can just go, okay, Google, hi, Siri, hey, YouTube.
Right.
Information is not the problem. But people are still sick. They're still depressed. They're still broke, right? So what's missing? What's missing is what you have, relationships, right? You can pick up the phone and call someone and be like, look, I'm stuck with this thing. Help me out.
Sure.
Most people don't have that, right? And so up until now, the gurus have been on a platform, right? So on a podium going like, I'm the guru, everybody listen to me, buy my stuff, right? And what happened is that acceleration model where free stuff, lead magnet, $26, $46, people started going through that. None of those steps were meant to give results, right? And so someone might go through 5 steps, not get the results, and start thinking, well, I'm the idiot. Obviously, you're successful, you're on the podium. I can't do it, right? So I'm just give up. I'm stupid, right? And so we have a lot of people who have gone through this internet marketing thing, tried so many things, and now lost faith in themselves. And so what we want to do is actually give you little wins along the way, face-to-face in real time. So you come to me and you go like, okay, I'm struggling with blah. Okay, great. Let's show everybody how to do this live in real time. I'll talk to you. You don't have to fly. You don't have to pay me. Just go live, and let's solve that problem. And what happens is you and I connected. Now we have trust. Everybody else sees me as the expert because I'm the one answering questions and teaching people. And I'm starting to build a loyal audience and a trusting audience. And that's what's missing. And so a lot of people are looking at how can I get leads? How can I get followers? It's vanity numbers, right? Because if that doesn't translate into something, nothing happens. Gary Vaynerchuk builds an audience. If YouTube says to Gary Vaynerchuk, hey, you can't be on YouTube anymore, he shrugs, takes his audience. So we're off to TikTok, right? Most of us will die if our social platform dies. And so what we're teaching people is like, okay, how do you engage at scale? How do you build a relationship at scale? How do you accelerate that?
Okay, how do you?
Face-to-face in real time. And you do that across all platforms at once because it's very annoying to go to Facebook Live, Instagram Live, YouTube Live. So we do it all at once.
So it's all lives?
It's all live.
Okay.
There's another reason for that. You're familiar with deepfake? So for those who don't, deepfake is where I can take one of your selfies and turn it into a video of you saying anything I want.
Right.
And so what happens is nobody believes what's happening online anymore, right? Like that's why you need 32 touch points to make a sale. And usually it's a small sale, right? But to make big sales and to create trust and loyalty, you actually have to have face-to-face interactions.
Okay.
So we have the technology. Why aren't we doing it?
Okay. So how do they do that as far as, let's say that I want to build an audience and I want to get 10,000 people, let's just say. I know that's a vanity metric, but let's just say that that's what I want for this purpose.
Do you want 10,000 people what?
How do you interact with that when you get a larger crowd? So let's say Gary, right? How do you do a live, or how does that still seem engaged? Or is it just that they see you live responding to other people and therefore that helps?
So I'll give you an example of a live event.
Okay.
You're on stage, right? And then there are 500 people, and someone has a question. They get the mic. Now you're only talking to that one person, right?
Okay.
But everybody else is watching.
Okay.
And then someone else has a question. You pass the mic to the other person. You and him are talking, connecting face to face. Everybody's watching. What happens online is that you're not limited to just the few people who are joining you. Millions of people can watch you at the same time, right? And then they come in and you rotate them.
Okay. And so how do you get engagement with that if you don't have an audience that wants to rush out and see it? Yeah.
You leverage.
Okay.
So you will take someone that has an audience and you'll interview them live and you'll say, hey, you have a list of 10,000 people. When did you talk to them ever? They'll say never. I'll be like, okay, fantastic. How about I'll facilitate all of it, invite your audience to talk to you. And because we're leveraging social media to build our own assets, not like Google+, we're sending them to our own website where we capture their information.
Nice.
And now you build an audience.
Okay. How do you do everything at once? Is there a syndicated software or something that you're using for that?
We're using like 3 different softwares that we combine together.
Okay.
And they only work on a PC because we're gamers. It's gamer software.
Okay. What's your game of choice?
I used to be World of Warcraft.
Okay.
In UT. Now I work, so I don't have time.
All right. That's not a game that takes a lot of time.
Yeah, I know.
So my boys play. They like the new one that just came out.
Yeah.
So what are those softwares just for people that are looking for?
So if you are not techie, try StreamYard and Restream. StreamYard will make it easy.
Just talk to the CEO of that company. That's funny. And what was the other one?
Restream.
Restream.io. Okay. Yeah.
So you combine both of them together and you can go. There are limitations, right?
Yeah.
But it's the easiest way to go online.
Okay, cool. So if you were going to walk somebody through who had no audience, you would tell them to reach out to people they know that have an audience, ask to do an interview, then hopefully they would share and announce and let people know. And then just like when we did ours,
right.
And then you do the interview. And then how does that turn into more, like into customer, opt-in, client, anything like that?
Right. So when people come in and they talk to you face-to-face in real time, there's immediate trust and relationship. And then usually what happens is there's a follow-up, there's a call-through. So many people, unlike you're like, I'm just here to share. But a lot of people are coming in and like, hey, here's my webinar, here's my lead magnet, here's something. So people connect to them so emotionally that they follow up to the webinar and the book and stuff like that, and then it becomes audience.
And then when you're doing that, is that then like an affiliate kind of thing? Or is there a way for you to, like if you're interviewing them and they have something to sell, then...
Yeah, so sometimes I'll be an affiliate.
Okay.
If they don't have an affiliate, I don't care.
Okay.
But you can go very strategic about this. So one of the ways is in creating content is taking that content and turning it into everything else. YouTube playlist, podcasting, that's why it's a podcast on steroids. You do it in real time, and you just upload it. And images, blog posts, tweets, everything, right? You have a content for an entire month from one conversation.
Right.
And the way that we do it, we start ranking organically for your keywords. So I'm very strategic about this. I want to interview the people that have my audience.
Right.
Because then their audience is going to look them up and going to find me.
And who is your audience?
My audience is people who want to become thought leaders, have more money than time. Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff. Genuine, trustworthy, and really love helping people.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, because I've promoted a lot of people who are not genuine. And
not genuine people on the internet?
On the internet?
This is news to me. So you had an interesting experience because you were being flown all over the place by Google, and you were the go-to person for Google+. And then Google, with 100 million plus folks on the platform, just decided, hey, we're not going to do that anymore. Would you share a little bit about that experience, kind of where you were, how you felt when it happened, and then how you have recovered, and what your thoughts are now, knowing what you know that something like that can happen? Because there's so many people, and for those of you that are watching or listening, that have Facebook is the only way that you're getting business. Or speaking on the stage is the only way you're getting business, and it's other people's stages and it's other people's Facebook.
Right.
Mark owns that, right? Yeah. And Google, obviously, and Amazon, and who knows what Jeff's going to do, right? So there's a lot of people whose entire livelihood is dependent on another person's platform, and you experience this firsthand. Would you kind of share that whole journey and how it's evolving for you?
Yeah, so when I started with Google+, there were 100 of us. I was one of the first 100 to get there. And there were no gurus, right? So it's a platform in beta, and we're all really geeks. We're like, oh my God, what happens when I block you? What happens when I... And because there was no guru, we're all sharing and collaborating. So all of a sudden, I have a tribe, and I feel belong. And I just spend hours on it, right? Conversations and testing and sharing. And then Google starts flying me around to talk about their own products. And I'm in beta groups and secret groups of Google, and they're flying me to California, and we're talking about Google TV, which is really funny because one of the conversations there were, we want to find the user intent before it even happens and send them to our advertisers. So the conversation back then was like, if you want to go to a restaurant, we know what restaurant you want because you're searching on Google. And so the restaurant will pay for the taxi to get you there.
Interesting.
Right? And so then I was like, man, I think what's going to happen is they're going to put a free Google robot in your house that will be like, hey, you're out of milk. We'll send you free milk from our advertisers.
Right.
Well, what do we have today? Google Home.
Right.
Now, which is competing with Alexa,
Right.
but it's exactly the same thing.
Right.
Which Alexa is winning, so I think,
By a lot.
By a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Google really messed up with closing Google+, but I'll tell you. So there was nothing there, and Google was not promoting it, because what they do is they get a few people in beta. They did it with everything, right? Google Voice, Gmail. They let a few people use the platform, and then those become their ambassadors. And we were die-hard Google. When I would go to networking meeting, my friends will be like, don't talk to her. She'll try to drag you in.
Right.
Google. So we never thought it will go away, because the reason why it started wasn't to compete with Facebook. It was to create a knowledge graph. Because how does Google know what you think is best? If you come to Austin and you say, what's the best pizza? How does Google know what's best to you?
Right.
So with Google+, they knew the conversations that
they
you're
have
having.
More context.
So they have not just where you were, but like what you're talking about and what your friends prefer, and then they'll kind of calculate that. So we're like, hey, that's power. They'll never get away. They'll never give that away. But then Vic Gondortra, the guy who started Google+, was like, you know what? I'm going to retire and be with my family. They put someone else, and then it started going downhill from there. 2 months before they closed, I was in a closed beta group with Google, and they're like, okay, how do we amp engagement on Google+? And I'm like, hey, let's do a treasure hunt. And we started actually working with Google to kind of create this entire gamification thing.
They just didn't know whoever you were working
with,
right?
Know.
Yeah.
They didn't know. Nobody knew. So then they said, hey, we're going to close Google+.
And you had built a kind of a business around that, consulting, and not just having Google do this, but you were actually helping people and that kind of stuff too,
right?
I
rank organically in search. And so people will call me and they would say, hey, do my SEO. And I'm like, I don't do SEO. They're like, your first result, here's $5K, do it.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Who can do SEO?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so I've been doing all that stuff. And what was a real game changer for me was that one show when I was going live with Gary Vaynerchuk and Guy Kawasaki. They were doing their show, I'm doing mine. And someone comes to me and goes like, you probably lost viewership because Gary and Guy were at the same time. And I go look at the numbers, and I have 4 times the engagements, the shares, the view, and I'm like, okay, what happened? And I'm like, ooh, I think I kind of figured out engagement. And so John Benson, you know him? We met at an event.
Okay.
And he's like, you know what, let's test this engagement theory of yours, right? Let's do 10 days where we engage with my audience to sell Accelerator.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, but you cannot market. Tell John not to market, right?
Right.
And he sends me his lead magnet, and at the bottom he's like, if you join me, I'm like, dude, don't market.
Right.
So we go for 10 days. His dead list, 7,000 people that were hit with the same offer for 3 years and never bought.
Okay.
We gamify it a little bit, and people come on and they go like, how do I buy? And he's like, Yifat told me not to do,
Right.
Wait 5 days. We end up with $250,000 in 10 days.
Nice.
No ads, no affiliates, no funnels, no
That's
nothing,
great.
right? Yeah. I'm like, budget should have taken a percentage, right? So then I'm like, is it just John because he's amazing, or is the system actually working? So I work with other people. They get 40% conversions, $100,000 in 10 days. It's working. And then Google shuts down. And we're all kind of like, we had this like grieving period because we're like so sad that this thing ended. And the world doesn't even understand why we're sad.
Right.
They're like, what was Google what?
Right.
Right? And so we're like, you guys don't know the Matrix. And
it was just hard though, because it was, I tried, but it's just like, you can only do so many socials.
Yeah.
That was, I think, the big challenge. Not that it wasn't good or anything like that. Just, it's like, it was a Me Too. Even though it may have been different and deeper and all of that, it felt like a Me Too.
I think the biggest difference that Google failed to communicate is that in Facebook, it's people that you already know in real life. And in Google Plus, it'll be kind of like Google search. You'll put terms, and instead of articles, you'll get people.
Right.
And now you get like-minded people that you can geek out with.
Yeah.
So real relationships were built, businesses, marriages. Yeah, amazing. We had like a little passport that when we met people, we're like, hey, I'm in Austin.
That's cool.
Hangouts in real life. It was a big, big thing for a group of people that the world didn't care about, right?
Right. So now you have this, you're meeting, you've got your consulting business, you're making money, you've pretty much made this your thing. Google's wrapped their arm around you and said, we love you. And then you're working on the treasure hunt, and while you're working on that, you find out they're not doing that anymore. How'd you find out?
Inside the internal groups, they're like, hey, this is going to go away. And we're talking to the Google peeps, and we're like, do you guys know about this? Like, what's going on? And they're like, no, we're talking, and we can't really say. And we're like, what about you? I mean, okay, we lost a platform, you lost a job.
Right.
And
so what did you do?
What I do, I realized that I am much better at engagement, and it doesn't matter, the platform doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's the relationship.
Okay.
Right? And I was like, okay, so how do I translate that engagement and that conversion into other platforms?
Okay.
And at the beginning, it was only Hangouts, right? So I did my show and everything with Hangouts. But when Google died, rest in peace, then Facebook had live, Twitter
so you
had
took
live.
What you were
and
already
stuff.
doing over to the other platforms' lives, right?
But I'm like, okay, I don't want to build my home on rented properties.
Yeah.
So let me figure out a way of grabbing that attention and bringing it to my own website so that if Facebook dies, I have my audience.
Okay, so how do you do that?
In our overly connected world, we are starving for connection, right? And so if you're watching me on Facebook and you see me talking to people who are coming in and chatting with me, you're like, okay, hey, how do I talk to her? And so I grab you from Facebook, bring you to my website, where you can come in, engage with me, and talk to me in person.
How do you do that? How do you grab me from Facebook and direct?
So on my show, I will be like, hey guys, just come to imthatgeek.com/live right now.
Okay.
And you'll come in. And
you say that while you're on Facebook?
I say it live.
Okay.
I share links. When I go live, I share the links.
And what do they get why do they jump off where they are on Facebook and come over to that site?
Because they want to talk to me and my guest, right?
You only talk to people that are on your platform. You're broadcasting the conversations on the social medias, but they need to come to your stream to engage directly?
Right.
Okay.
So think about it like Oprah, like they say, right? So you can watch her on every station at home, but if you actually want to come in and interact with the audience, you have to drive to the studio and have a conversation.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, cool. And so what are your takeaways from having that experience of having this thing kind of unexpectedly disappear that
Don't build your home on rented properties. Own your audience. And mostly that connections and relationships, because there's a lot of people that I connected with on Google Plus, we're still friends, right? So I have their number on my phone and we can interact with each other. And so those relationships are not going to go away. And those relationships make me feel not lonely online, right? Because we were geeking out on something that we're all passionate about.
Right.
And that passion didn't disappear. It just, the platform disappeared, but our relationship continued. So really focus on relationship and connection more than content, because everybody can create content, right?
Yes.
But it's that emotional connection. And I think that the more technology is going to the fake stuff online, the more deep fake we have, the more that kind of stuff.
The more live is needed.
Well, the more connection needed, right?
Yeah.
Because now you don't trust people anymore. And I don't know about you, we have WhatsApp groups, because America doesn't have, the US doesn't have them. But we don't go to Google to find plumbers. We go to our friends and go like, anyone can recommend a plumber and a electrician. So how do you become that person that people recommend if you don't build that emotional connection with people?
Right. So what would you say, because you said that you're really good at engagement, and I know that you are, is there any advice that you can offer to people that are doing the lives and things like that to get the best kind of engagement? Yeah,
stop broadcasting. Comments are not interaction, especially when you choose which comment you want to respond to. Bring people in and actually talk to them face-to-face in real time. Because otherwise, why would I come and watch your live when you decided to go live?
Yeah.
I'll just wait for the replay, watch it twice as fast on my run, right? And be done with it. So then you lost the whole magic of engagement of lives, then it's just another video.
Is that it? Is it that simple though? That's it? Just talk to people live?
Just talk to people live. And a lot of people are afraid of this because they're afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
Like, how do I know if someone comes in?
Right.
And how do I know what they ask? And what if they're a troll? I'm like, okay, so for that troll, they have to find you when you're live. They have to come to your website. They have to click on your button.
Very motivated troll.
Very motivated troll.
Right.
And if they did, you just eject them, right?
Okay.
And then the video you edit and you remove that ejection.
Well, in closing, is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with that I didn't ask or that you think you'd really like to share with them?
So if people are just starting out and you don't have an audience yet, don't worry about content, right? Go search for your hashtags or your topics, find who talks about that topic, and then spend 2 weeks or 4 weeks just engaging there, answering questions, really solving people's problems. And what you'll find is that those people will be like, hey, who's that one person who actually answers me? They'll come to your profile, and from there you can bring them to live, you can find out exactly what they want, and you can monetize it, right? Affiliate, coaching, PayPal, whatever.
Okay, fantastic. So for people who would like to get a hold of you and find out more, where are you on all the socials and all of the Googles and websites and whatnot?
So my name is unique,
yep.
luckily or not luckily. So you just Google me and you'll find me. And also, I would love for people to come to my show.
Can you spell your name for them so that they have it?
YIF like Frank, A as in Apple, T as in Tom, Yifat Cohen.
Cohen is?
Cohen.
Perfect, okay.
And come to my show every other Thursday, 1 p.m. I'mThatGeek.com. Love to have you there.
I'mThatGeek.com.
I'm that geek.
Okay, perfect.
I am, but without A.
I like it. Is there a company name as well?
Yes, Viral Connectivity.
Okay, .com?
.com.
ViralConnectivity.com.
Viral
Okay,
Connectivity.
cool. Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.